Well, let's dive in because I feel like we're
let's.
already running short on time, and
Yes.
here we are. So people show
So
up.
this is episode 3 of 3 for the AI series. I think we could keep this going forever. We will not do that
No,
because we are tired of talking about this topic, and we know everyone else is probably tired of hearing about it and seeing it, all that good stuff. So we're
sure.
we're closing it off today, and sending it adrift.
Yes, exactly,
I'm
exactly.
sure I'm sure that the conversation will continue elsewhere, but it just won't be here.
Yes, yes. Because I personally, I would like to get back to some turkey topics. We have some
Yes,
other
we have some other
timely
really great
things.
topics
Yes,
and just fun things coming up, and it's also the summer, so everyone's kind of
exactly. Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do that brainwave. Um,
yes,
so yeah, not to I mean, but kudos to us because for ADHDers having 3 consecutive episodes on the same topic.
yep.
I don't know. I think that's a win of some kind.
Agreed,
I'd
agreed.
prefer it to be on like dogs or something like that, but AI is fun too, I guess. So anyway, at the top here, we're going to talk a little bit about a an article that a friend sent me last week, and then Amber and I kind of had a conversation about it, which was it's on. We'll link it obviously below if and share it out and that kind of thing. But it's from the stateofthebrand.com, and I'm gonna try and do like this article is like packed with data and information and stats and all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
obviously go and read it because it is well worth your read. But high level here, they did a 2,400 person survey by Writer and Workplace Intelligence, and that found that 29% of employees admit to actively sabotaging their company's AI strategy. So it kind of goes into why they would do such a thing and what that actually
Mhm.
looks like, the security risks of people sabotaging AI from within the workplace, all the ways that that could go sideways and why that would be terrible for the company and the brand. Obviously,
Yeah.
with this being on the State of the Brand website, they're focused on the brand. Um, and so also, it shouldn't be that surprising that you have like graduates booing
Yeah.
AI. I think we're done
Exactly.
with that. I think graduation has now completed, but there
Yeah.
were many booed CEOs over that.
Yes.
And a couple of the quotes I pulled from this article. One, so of the let me go a little bit into like the
Yeah.
what they actually looked into too. So they found that 45% of CEOs say most of their employees are resistant or openly hostile to AI. Only 14% of the CEOs have aligned their workforce, technology, and growth goals, and 95% have invested in AI, which seems like a pretty big gap to me. I'm not a numbers person, but that seems like a fairly, the article summarizes
Yes.
the money went in, the people didn't follow. So there was no like change management of what there was. It was very poorly done. And the article also explains like the resistance is rational, right? Like people can see the writing on the walls when you shove something at them. Nobody likes anything shoved at them. And like, there's so many topics. I'm like, and for me, like the more you try and force something on me, the more I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Whether it's a movie or a book or something more along the lines of this, it like becomes like I start to like why are you doing that? why, why are we shoving it so hard and so forcefully with limited training and like a webinar is just not going to do it, right? Like it's just not going to cover the whole thing. Um, so people are protecting their jobs. That's the way they're looking at this
Yep.
is the I mean, and some of it's, people are putting in prompts just to get terrible answers out, but then others are more serious in terms of like the security risks and things like that.
Correct. Yes.
So all of this to summarize, the article basically says, um, your employees know what the tools are for, and when the tools feel like surveillance, the response is sabotage. When that sabotage becomes culture, the culture becomes your brand. And that brand piece is really
Yeah,
big.
that burns.
Yeah, it's really, really big. There's all sorts of research, and so I'm a little bit more on the brand side. The article even goes into like the employer brand side of it in terms of like um, how companies are. This is a little reflective too of like 2020 even, and how companies let people go during the pandemic. Um, I was a
Mm,
big believer, and I think it still holds true. Memories are short, but I do think that like some of us, especially within tech, know the names of the companies that didn't do it well. You
yeah,
know, no layoff is ever a good layoff, but you know the ones that really screwed it up.
yes.
Um, and that gets baked into your culture, you know, because it's hard to come back from that. It's really hard to like once you've put a hole in your ship to right the ship, and they kind of know that you're capable of that, of just doing the 4 a.m. email, you're out of work
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Well, and it
Um,
also is such a break of trust, and it takes it takes a second to lose trust. It takes
mhm,
years sometimes to build it up. And depending on your leaders and how well that information cascades down, it'll take even longer, right?
yep,
So like and I totally get that there are probably pockets within every company and every industry that is leveraging AI, that there is that huge amount of trust. It's like they will ride and die for that person. Like
mhm,
it's like that is their team, but that's also they're kind of living in a bubble, right?
yep,
Of this very specific moment in time. So and to go back to that earlier comment you made about it being shoved down people's throats and things like that, there's so many ways in which change management could have benefited all of
yeah.
this, right?
Yeah,
um
could have circumvented literally the entire thing. I think I even
and
took a
I
note from our
yes.
conversation where we were like, had they just rolled this out with training, structure, defined strategy,
Yep.
mapping it to the business goals and making people kind of bringing them along with that journey,
Yep.
and being real and authentic. I know that's a bit, it's one of those words, but like, we're just going to roll
Yeah.
with it.
Yep.
Um, on how, if, and when this affects the workforce, you would have had a completely different take on it, because people
Yep.
would have been able to see, kind of like you and I have, like, oh, there are ways that we can utilize this tool and have it benefit
Right.
us. And, I would not call you, like, I wouldn't say that we're anti AI. I wouldn't say that we're like super pro AI. I think we're somewhere in that middle ground, which I think is probably where most people would be
Yeah.
if we had gone this route of, especially within the workforce, right? And thinking of that newer generation coming in, they're graduating into a world that up until probably the past couple of days has told them there are no jobs for you. And despite what some of the CEOs are now kind of backtracking and saying like, oh, just kitty is where it's not gonna do anything to the world. They've already seen it. It's already been happening for a year plus of these companies, uh, just axing thousands of jobs, right?
Yeah.
And here in the U.S., there is no job creation. It is zero. There are no there are no jobs that are being created outside of the ones that currently exist.
Yeah. And
So
we can link to that as far as like
yeah.
that report that came out and when the Fed kind of announced that. And one of the things I think that I constantly am thinking about is I don't think it's any longer like this whole like competition between me and someone else using it as fast as possible. It's
Hmm.
more about like, you know, who am I going to be once I start leveraging AI? And what is that going to look like as far as like my skill toolbox that I can
Yeah.
offer my client or a company or whatever that looks like? And that's where I think it really is going to start to differentiate on whether
Hmm.
or not you were able to actually implement and execute to get the thing that you were going to get and leverage AI to do it either faster or streamline the process in some sort of a way
Something,
where
yeah.
less touching points, like whatever automation you can build out of that. But I definitely think that there is it definitely feels like from what I'm like, people that I'm talking to and things I'm reading, it definitely feels like there is a unannounced urgency, and how I'm seeing, and this kind of goes back to I think our last podcast or maybe our first one, about AI, where I was like, I'm sure that there is a race for the country to get to it first,
Yep.
and I definitely feel like they kind of threw us into the Wild West and said, just go figure it out, because maybe more minds on this, faster will get us a better result, and those kind of things. And I don't know what everyone's drivers are. I don't know if it's the money, if it's the purpose, if it's, some other kind of thing. But all I know is that there is exactly what you said, where there does feel like there's resistance on different levels, and people are questioning whether or not it's really valid in their work, whether it really is streamlining the process, or if it's causing you more work. And I fall in this thing where it takes a long time to really perfect getting an agent to run really well, because it's data points, right? And the way humans brains work is, well, what if this? And what if this? Because we're able to connect those things very differently. So I think it's just going to be a matter of time between the people that are really leveraging it, and leveraging it really well. And then there's going to be the people that are just like absolute masters and experts in just the things that they're building out of it and the things that they're finding on how to do it. And it's like, those are the people I want to hear from. And those are the people I want amplified. And unfortunately, I feel like so much with the news is just gravitating towards the impending doom of it all. And I outside of this podcast, I was telling Casey, I'm like, yesterday I just felt like this huge heaviness of impending doom on me. And I don't know what was causing it, and I don't know but I feel like a lot of it is either I've been reading too much of the news or something, or just
ding 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 ding
AI. Hearing so much about AI, and which is another reason why this is our third and final on AI, because it's so much in our lives every single day, more so
you
than
can't get away from it.
Realize it. You can't get away from it. And
I've noticed just in the time that we've done the 3 episodes, and I do have my phone sort of locked down, probably more than most, in terms of what it's picking up on, algorithms, ads, all that kind of stuff. I have I don't interact with ads on social, is my easy one, but even in the settings, I have a lot of that locked down. So I don't necessarily run into the things where it will hear things and pick up that sort of thing.
Yes.
But even with my phone set the way that it is, my algorithms have been more AI in the past 3 weeks. And I do agree. I think just that, I have really good boundaries, therapist approved boundaries that I've developed over the special skill set that I have. Because I've worked in social media for so long and with content for so long, I've had to develop really, really solid boundaries on sort of what I'm intaking and how much of it, and how often am I in the comments? Not often. And that sort of thing. When we're back out of topics. This is one that's really hard to back out of, because it is such a huge just force, and the way they're forcing it onto us. I think even in terms of your note about the race to AI kind of thing, it's what are we racing to? Why? At least with the space race, right? You could be all right, we're racing to put a vehicle into space. Okay, now we're racing to go to the moon. There was sort of a tangible aspect to it. And there are, that's a whole different thing, but there are obviously geopolitical things within that race too.
Yes, right.
Um, but with this one, it's hard. It doesn't feel tangible. I don't know if that's just because it's technology and it's in the computer and it's, you know, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like, what are we actually getting from it? Is it just faster productivity? Cool. And I think this was we'll have to link this video. I think I shared it yesterday with you in terms of like, if it meant, okay, fine, we're going to use this tool to get us faster outputs and productivity and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And at a certain point, we're going to get so good at this that then
Yeah.
human beings can work 4 days a week, right?
Right.
And we got some benefit in return of it.
Yes.
And it wasn't just more, faster, quicker,
Yep.
use all your brain power and put it into this thing and push out more. Cool. Like, very
Yes.
much on board with that, because I do think we're at a place where we should probably have a 4-day work week and getting people a little bit more downtime and that sort of thing, because we were not meant to be where we are currently, which is
Yeah.
all these screens all the time, the news in 24-hour 7-day cycles, and
Yep.
bells,
Yep.
and your watch pings and all these things, right? Like, we weren't designed to live that way. That is not
Yeah.
actually living.
Well, I
know?
think you nailed it, which is like, what's the why?
Yeah.
Where's the why? And I think this goes into a great kind of a closing segment for our AI, which is like, what are our loves and loathes? And one of the things I loathe about it is like, there doesn't seem to be a larger, and when I say larger, like a United States push behind AI. Like, I know it's against China, but like, why? Like, what is that? And maybe that's like where the policy advisors and the international,
because if you're not first, you're last. It's the Ricky Bobby method, which is very on brand for where we're at.
Exactly.
Very proud of myself for that one, by the way.
But it so is. It's like, well, what is? And I understand there have been companies that are like, we want to be able to like streamline process, get things out to our customers faster, like be able to deliver for our clients, better, leave them with kind of this repeatable, behavior or habit or whatever that looks like. Like, there's certain levels of that, but it definitely feels like I would be curious. I would have to survey my nieces over this of like, what is AI like? What do you think is the reason to use it? And a great example is, I was chatting with my nieces the other week, and I was like, what does AI even mean to you? Like, what are you using? How are you using it? And two of the girls, because there's four of them, they're both in the medical field, so they leverage a very specific AI thing. So it's not it's a very specific research. Like, you have to have medical credentials to even get access to this, and it helps you find research studies and reviews and all of these other things way faster. And I was like, see, that is what I want to hear more about. Like, the good stuff.
I'm
like,
stealing that from my love
information. But like, that is a love. That is such a
that's
love.
actually useful. Like, that like is setting off all like 100%. The fireworks in my head.
Yes.
And there's a book that I read, I think last year. I forget the name of it, but it basically went into like the stories of government and how you don't realize the roles that actually what they do, and they're the things that nobody wants to do, right? And just, you have to have like a very quirky, niche sort of even interest in some of these things. But one of them was like this very rare, I don't know if it was like a bacteria or something like that, and it moves very fast. When you get it, it's like really hard to figure out that that's the rare bacteria that it is. And then it's super fast, right? And by the time they do, often you are no longer with us, and they go, oh, that's the thing. Once they know it's the thing, they can treat it, I think, with some relative consistency.
Yeah.
But again, it's the knowing that it's the thing.
Yeah.
And there was a person working within our government, within, I think, the CDC, maybe the FDA, that knew how to put these pieces together and knew, oh, you need to speak to these doctors across country because they had a patient just last month that they were able to treat and that sort of thing. And it shares kind of stories of real Americans that kind of went through this and
Yeah.
um, uh, again, things that you don't think of that like I think I don't know if it's in this book or somewhere else that I've heard it, like how government touches you like 10 different ways before you've even had coffee, and you
Mhm.
just don't know that it exists because they don't really have the marketing behind them because
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
government, you know.
Yeah.
And you just assume those things are always going to be taken care of. But that's a great use of AI, is condensing that amount of time and going like, hey, wait, we actually have this research
Yep.
paper from this
Yep.
university over here, and here's 3 ways to potentially treat it, and the number for that doctor, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like,
love that.
what an incredible use case. It's the exact same thing where I think it was you shared with me the one time about a guy that like literally cured his dog's cancer or came up with a treatment
Mm-hmm.
because of AI. And
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
that is what I
Like the
want to
genomic,
do.
I think he used genomic
Yes.
sequencing for his, it was like a personalized, and you're seeing more of this in science and research now too, more personalized treatment for your, like, so for this dog. And he had a
Yep.
background in this, and so he had obviously more resources than the average bear,
Almost
but
right.
he was able to basically get the dog's specific genomic sequencing and DNA and all that kind of stuff, and get an actual like for
It's
that dog
incredible.
treatment. And they're doing that in humans now. You also just saw, I don't know that this was AI related, but the pancreatic cancer, um,
Yes.
it was huge news that I think just happened yesterday or the day
Huge.
before.
Yes.
Massive news that
Yep.
and I think some people will probably see. I think it's doubled the uh, the you know, so survival rate, I think.
Reverberate. Yes.
Yeah. And so I think some people will see that and go like, oh, well, it's only a year. But when you're looking at 6 months to a year, that's
Yeah.
you'll take the 12 months, you know.
Exactly.
And then
Yep.
again, the way that we're moving with science research, especially now with using AI and these tools, um, who knows what we will find in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
a whole new
Yes.
thing, because it is so good at recognizing patterns and
Yep.
sort of, you know, going through that data, like that to me is where we should be funneling our
Yeah.
attention, and and the force behind it
Yeah.
is let's put everything we have into that. I am less worried about AI doing silly art, if that, you know,
Oh,
like,
when you
or
look
even
at
editing
the
words. I don't think we really need it for that.
yes, when you look at like the why and the output of
Yeah,
the energy that goes into running AI compute, you know, all of those things. Like, why wouldn't you be like
yeah,
figuring out how we could get to Mars faster, or we, you know, can develop light speed, you know,
yeah,
like leverage Star Trek is kind of our
yeah.
our glory filled, you know, moment. But yes, there is so much good
Hmm.
and the loves versus the loathes of
Yeah.
like the security.
Hmm.
And you know, we recognize, both of us, that this is something that it needs to be addressed, and there needs to
Hmm.
be some sort of guardrails in some
Yeah,
sort of way.
100%. Yep.
But as we both very much know, and probably more Casey than I, is government moves slow, and it takes a long time. Like, people
Yeah.
cannot be in it for the short game,
Hmm.
because you have to be thinking long-term strategy, especially when you're
Hmm.
getting policy made. And
Yep.
and that is, you know, that is one of those things that I think is going to be the kind of the one thing that like eventually catches up.
Yeah.
I hope that it's before my kids,
I I
mid-20s.
hope we don't. I think it's getting into the same thing we did with social media, though, is
Yeah,
we went this same route of it's too complicated to put any guardrails around, and all these same things
yeah,
were things we said 10, 15 years ago about social media, and we're paying a massive price for that now. And that perhaps might not make me any friends. Actually, I think it would make me friends today. It wasn't something popular to say, uh, even in like the 2015, 16, 17, 18s. um,
yes, yes.
but we're certainly paying a price for it now. Again, I go back
Mhm.
to the Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And I do think, I haven't read it yet, but I think I saw Bernie Sanders put out something yesterday on how, I might botch this because again I have not read it, but how like we should be owner, like humanity and humans should own AI. Like um
Yes.
all of it, again, we trained it. It stole from us. Don't love
Mhm.
that. Think that's a bunch of horseshit, by the way.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you're ever going to see that made right, unfortunately. But that doesn't also negate the
Yeah.
fact that moving forward, we should be treating this with the utmost security, safety, especially when all the guardrails, like, right, especially when you get into kids and even young adults who
Yeah.
don't have, I don't
Yep.
forget the age, but like when when your brain is fully formed, I
I
think
think
you're
it
like mid 20s, right? Like
Yeah, it's like 20, I
yeah,
think it's 25.
yeah,
There's
that
they're
makes
starting to
sense.
see, yeah, the
Yeah,
studies
so
have shown.
you're a
Yeah.
baby human still. You should not be, not to say that you should have these tools. There should be classes on them. There should be education and all sorts of things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
we should really, that's my hope and my wish is that I hope we do better on this than we did in social.
Yep.
Um
I'm
I
one of those
I don't know if
people
we will.
that, I have deep hope that I'm one of those, like, good will always see its way through,
Hmm.
because in the end, the bad stuff just, it's not sustainable because it's
Yeah.
not powered by the same type of things.
Hmm.
When you
And
look at what
you
powers
are seeing
positivity.
sort of that uprising. This is something that social did not have, right? That uprising of
Mhm.
people. I think that's where you're seeing all of this pushback. Even people like you and I who are pretty, pro, like, yeah, there are great use cases for it.
Yeah.
You're still seeing this uprising of like, there's something that needs to be done with the workforce. There needs to be
Mhm.
something done with the security and the rationale behind it. And you're also seeing that it's cheaper to hire the humans, and reports of that coming out, than it is to get all the chips and the things that run the AI.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot to think about and
Yeah.
consider here. My hope is that we get it right this time. So
I think we will, only because eventually there's going to have to be, it kind of goes back to my comment last episode, which was like, there has to be a line in the sand where people draw,
yeah.
like, what they're willing to accept. And I feel like only through experience
Hmm.
and stuff will we realize that line.
Yeah.
And so I think
I think
that
that that line also
it's
comes
time.
with the price a little bit, in terms of like
Yes.
actual cost, in terms
Yes.
of, at some point these folks are going to turn on the with like your credit card
Yes.
now, and I don't think a lot of people buy into it then,
Yeah.
because me in my home, what do I need it for? You know,
Right.
it's a little
Yeah.
different when you get into professional and what roles you have and that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
everyday use, mm, you know,
Yeah, I
so
mean, there's a difference between having the calendar that tracks things and tells you, and
hmm.
is hanging on your wall and can update, and those kind of things. But I also feel like it's one of those things where, until we see it used in a really good way, we
Yeah.
may even be able to really realize yet. And
Hmm.
that's where I'm like really interested in the idea thinkers and
Yeah.
the people are thinking of these massive ways in which
Mhm.
AI can be used for good. Um, because oh my goodness, so many opportunities there. Um,
Definitely.
sure, that I'm not even like you or I.
Oh yeah,
We
we have no idea. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing
We
as
are
like
but mere mortals here.
yes, and when they're like, like what powers a black hole? Like me,
Yeah.
not something I would think about. So it's
But
it's
that
that
also
kind of
goes
thing.
back to the tangible piece that's missing, right? Like if we had actual good
Mhm.
use cases, and which is like I'm not a product marketer either, but this kind of goes into that territory of like usually you need really good use cases before you
Yeah,
start like marketing a thing, right? Like you can market an idea
yeah,
to a point, but at some point people are going to be like, all right, well, does it do the thing you want it to do? Or are
mhm,
you just kind of blowing smoke now? And
exactly.
the medical research, obviously is a great use case, but that's one that kind of almost comes by the wayside here. And if you had a few more use cases of sort of daily life, work life, all that kind of thing, things that it could fix for us. Because I think by and large, like you said, government moves really slow, but something that we're so used to hearing, it's like ingrained in us is that like, well, we can't have these things. You just can't do that. Oh, that costs too much. We
Mhm.
can't do that. That takes too much time. We can't do that. But what if we could? Right?
Yep.
First of all, you need a human to go, what if we could? And
Mhm.
then what if this is something that could help us get there faster,
Right.
or
Yep.
make it more cost efficient? And you need people to do that and explore that and that sort of thing and poke at it a little bit more. So I think that's kind of where we're leaving it. We
Yeah.
love
I
it, we
mean,
hate it. This is where we are right now.
exactly. Exactly. Well, I think that is a good place to kind of close out our episode on AI. And obviously we touched on a lot, but check out the show
Yes.
notes. We will have all the links to all the things, and
Yep.
we'll continue to get back to our regular scheduled programming.
Kind of. I mean, so next week I'm traveling next week, so we'll have sort of a review on
Yep.
on all the AI things as I'm now starting to lose my voice. And then we'll come back with more randomness.
Yep.
Soon. So, also, I guess we should be remiss since it is June 2nd. Happy Pride to everyone. We should open
Yes.
with
Happy
that. And
Pride.
instead, we opened with tech issues because the
Yeah.
tech. So, happy Pride to everyone who celebrates. And we need more love in the world, too. So, I'm always here for
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, everyone.
All right, bye. Bye.
Peace.